welcome, Eliška. We are very glad to have a little moment to speak after your performances. We will speak with you about Enola, that you performed in the festival. We speak also about Hangout, both as a production of your company that you founded, which is a circus play. And I would say that when I meet people, producers from abroad, trying to see what's happening in circus in the Czech Republic, they're speaking about the good new wave in the Czech Republic, and they're speaking about circus playing. So thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
I would have a question about what brings you to be up. You are hanging, you are climbing, you are up. What, as an artist, it brings you to be that height?
As an artist, I actually, because I'm mainly a trapeze artist,
Yes.
I started to work with the fact being up for the dramaturgy, actually, because I don't really like shows where you put the story on the circus technique just like this. And
Does it make sense?
Yeah, but it happens very often. So I was trying to find kind of story in the discipline itself, because the discipline, this is what I am technically good in, and how can I use the discipline to create something around it, but not to think about the story or theme and then trying to put it on the trapeze. So I started to create from the other side, from the discipline itself. Mm-hmm. And for example, for Enola, I was exploring the distance from the floor, like different levels of the trapeze, and what does it mean, or why can I do this, why should I do this, what is inside. And of course this brings me also impact in my thinking, in my, of course, personal life and stuff. Yeah, so this is mainly the thing. So the different levels brought different little themes, little questions, because when I'm very near to the floor, I have still the contact with the floor, and this is like you can be on the trapeze and not touching the floor, but you still can touch it, which is a kind of security. And how I'm going up, like I'm more and more far from the floor, so more in the kind of air, but also like my mind can be more opened and not so much rooted in the floor.
And have an overview, yes.
Yes. So be more free.
Yeah, very risky freedom. But beautifully risky freedom.
Yeah, but for the risk, I mean, this is very important question for me also in circus, because, for example, me, I don't, in Enola, I don't do very risky thing.
In Hangout more?
Yes, in Hangout it's more risky, but Enola, this is not somehow very, very high, and also the choreography is written, it's always the same, and I mean, I trained it enough. Of course, like every time something can happen, but this is something I control a lot.
So this notion of risk, this feeling of risking something, doesn't open you the freedom.
In Enola.
In a hangout, perhaps more.
In hangout, yes. The hangout is actually the risk and the security and fear and some ban, forbidden things. This is the theme of hangout.
Yes.
And this is also the theme of the show of, and it's inside the performing also, because this is, I cannot control it so much. Of course I deal with it, but it's very not controlled format.
Because you were speaking about Enola as being a performance very written, and hangout is not written.
Yeah.
When we are speaking about written, is to know which kind of movement you do before the other one and so on. That's what we are speaking.
Yes.
That's written.
In this sense, the hangout is not written.
Yes.
Just, there are some movements I know I can use, but the structures I climb on, they are different, so I cannot really write the choreography. So I'm just trying to get used on the construction, climbing it, to feel it, what I can do, but then it's more or less improvisation.
Yeah, and reaction toward the material you're working with.
Yes.
Which is really interesting. Linking to this question of material, something which is not completely usual is the way you're using another art, which is painting. So yes, you're confronting circus, dance and painting. How did it come? What is the necessity? Why was it for you important to include painting in this?
The beginning of it, the very, very beginning of it, is actually that there was a choreography on the trapeze where I don't use my hands, and I wanted to make it more intensive, so I put the color on my hands. This was the beginning, so I don't use the hands, I'm moving on the trapeze, and then the idea was, what else can I do with the painting? And actually, a lot of people think that this is kind of using calligraphy art in the show, because also there's this Japanese theme, but
a trace of movement?
It was more for to make traces of the movement on the paper, and also to make it somehow that when something is written you cannot change it. When you do a thing in your life, it's done and you cannot erase it.
And yes, and there's a huge difference between the arts of movement, which are vanishing as soon as it's gone, and then you have something which is staying.
And this is also something which is different from one show to another, though the choreography is written, but it's not the painting is different every time. And also there was dealing of this kind of action painting, because Enola, the show, is inspired by the Second World War and the atomic bomb and stuff, and the action painting was founded or started in the 50s in America, so it was also in contact with this, thinking about that.
And what brought you to work on this Japanese history theme?
Some very long time ago, I started to learn Japanese language.
Only?
Other parts. from us. And if you understand some little bit from the language, it's amazing. For me it was amazing. And then I started to read books about Japanese aesthetics, and it was very, very inspiring, and it just got together with my creation at the time, so it just came together.
And what do you have as a feeling that is really printed as coming from the Japanese culture in this piece? What did you transform? Because you're not just translating one culture, you are just really transferring both culture to go to something which is your performance. But what is for you the print of the Japanese? The Japanese print in Enola. So we have a painting.
Yeah.
This kaligrafie.
Because they have this very special aesthetic sense, and I was thinking about, for example, wabi-sabi concept. There are a lot of them. It's okay. The sense of it was mainly to bring something that disappears, because the precision and the perfect thing for them, it's something that disappears, and it's actually not perfect, it's something imperfect. And this is what I wanted to use mainly. There is not a symmetric concept, but something very asymmetric and not stable and very...
it's very visible at the beginning.
Yeah.
All the falling of the legs and the calligraphy of the, absolutely beautiful. I had the chance to be there when you were filming Enola inside the castle, in the attic, a very special place. I know you work a lot specifically. What kind of impact had for you this place and your piece?
It brought me to an idea that I could try to perform Enola in very, very different places, and also that I could try to perform it outdoor, which I never tried, and for KoresponDance it will be the first time outdoor, and that also I can change the choreography according to the space. I was not very much used to do it before, and I played the show already 4 years, and because it's very written, it was hard for me at the beginning to think about changing it, but now I have it in the body very rooted, so now I have the feeling I can do it easily. But let's see what it will bring.
Yes, we are absolutely interesting, and I would say that in the attic it gave perhaps even more this Japanese sense, because I saw it in the theatre and I saw it in the attic, and this ephemeral thing was even stronger there. The question of time was really strong. The perspective also, the timing through the architecture that you have inside was also something that was incredibly working together.
Yes, exactly.
And I saw that while working there, you had that also in mind. It was clear that you were working with that also.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Yes, I really liked all the wood that it's breaking, and you can really see the rusted pieces that this is exactly the concept of the Japanese aesthetics and of the imperfection and the imprint of the time.
Thank you very, very much. And yes, I hope to talk to you soon again about other performances. And we are very glad to be able to enjoy the film even longer than the performance. And just want to see other performances from Eliška. They are beautiful.
Thank you very much.